Welcome, welcome. Eunice, can you just check this is recording? If not, can you record it?
It says it's recording, but I think you are recording it yourself.
Oh, okay. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Welcome, everybody. Beautiful. Okay, so we are recording this, so I'm going to get going pretty much straight away because we've got loads to cover. If you're tuning in, feel free to leave your camera on. It's always lovely to see a couple of nice faces smiling back at us. Hello. We'd love to see you interacting in the chat room as well. So can you just try it out for me now and just write something in the chat just to say who you are and anything you like, really, just so that we can see that that's working. And as we're going through the class, please feel free to put any questions that you've got in that chat box, and then we will hi Lisa, we will try to address everything as we go through. So my name is Michelle Clegg. I'm a team leader here in Jersey in the Channel Islands, team leader for Thermomix, and I'll let Laura introduce herself in a moment. She's also presenting with me this evening. We also have Eunice, who's in my team behind the scenes, and she's doing the Zoom admin and spotlighting, letting people in out of the waiting room. So thank you so much for helping out with that. But without further ado, let us get going, and we're going to try and cover a number of dishes this evening, just to give you a little bit of inspiration about, what can you do with your Thermomix when you're really busy during the week, as most of us are. So you're coming in the evening. What do you do? How do you produce a nice meal quickly and easily for your family, or just for yourself, without too much fuss? So some of these things are going to be whole recipes that you can do all in one go, and then a couple of things are going to be about meal prepping and having things ready in your fridge or your freezer. Laura's got some really amazing tips for us on meal prepping, which I'm looking forward to as well. So one of the really, really quick meals that I love to recommend to people when they get their Thermomix, obviously you can do so many really exciting recipes, but a super, super simple recipe that you can do is just some rice and either fish or chicken and some vegetables. It's ready really quickly, everything cooks at once, and you can flavor it up as much or as little as you want to. So a really simple dinner. I do this for the family every so often, and it's just it's reasonably plain, but it's nice, it's filling, it's nutritious. So yeah, it works well. So the basis of this recipe is the steamed rice recipe, which, if you're in my WhatsApp group, we've been chatting about that this evening. It's the recipe that I always use for making my basmati rice. And basically it involves putting in a litre of water. So if I just go into my recipes, if I go into my recently cooked, and it's always one of the most recent things that I've done because I do it quite regularly. The kids like it. So if I just go into, I'll just restart that. So I'm going to start off this recipe by just doing my rice. Do I want to active recipe? Yes. Yes. Okay. So for this recipe, I know this is super simple, but just in case you haven't done it before, I'm putting in a litre of water. In that goes there. And then you can just put a little bit of salt and either some oil or some butter. I'll just put a little bit of olive oil in there. And 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So that's just to salt the water, so you won't actually get all of that salt in your rice. Okay, and I've put in a little bit of olive oil, and then I'm just going to pop in my basket. Still a little bit wet because we had rice and curry for dinner this evening. And then I'm going to put in my rice. So you can put in as much rice as you want. Oh, I've put it into my jar just to make it a bit easier. You can, so it says 50 to 350 grams of white long grain rice. I use basmati, but yeah, as much as you want. So roughly 50 grams per person is what you're thinking about. But you can go so up to a maximum of 350. So I'm just going to do a small amount because I don't need to anymore. So I'll just do a little bit of that. And I'm going to pop my lid on. There we go. So it sets it up for 20 minutes at 100 degrees, speed 4. Now, I'm going to incorporate. Oh, have I changed? I changed camera.
Sorry, yes.
Look over here. So I'm just going to stop that just for a moment, just so that you can hear me. So that I'm going to incorporate another. Am I looking this way, Eunice?
Yes, please. Yes.
So I'm going to incorporate another recipe with this, and this one is called. If I just go into my recently cooked. So I just had it up here a minute ago. This one is called Simple Steamed Salmon. And with this particular recipe, I'm basically doing exactly the same, setting up with a litre of water. But this time this is about steaming some fish in my Verona. So I start off this recipe, I'm just going to quit that one. I'm going to start off this recipe by getting a piece of, I'm just going to, sorry, later. Okay, I'm just going to start off this recipe by getting a little piece of baking parchment, and I'm going to wet it. So I'm just going to run it over the top, and I'm going to scrunch up, and I'll just wring it out ever so slightly. Yeah. So the reason that you wet your baking parchment is that it fits nicely into the Verona, because it's when it's dry, it's a little bit harder to work with. So that's going to fit nicely into the Verona. I'm going to be able to bend it into the shape that I want it. And it's going to be steaming in there. So having it already wet just it speeds it up ever so slightly, which is quite nice as well. So I'm going to put my my fish fillet, which I got some lovely organic Scottish salmon in Waitrose this evening at half price. So I was very, very happy with that. And I'm just doing one fillet actually, just because I'm going to have this for my lunch tomorrow. So I'm going to set it up for my lunch. So I'm putting, it says I put up to 1 kilo of skinless salmon fillets. I'm just putting my one little piece in there. And again, this is quite a nice recipe, even if you're on your own, or it's just the two of you eating. You can make a reasonably small quantity of food in this, but again, it's just really beautiful home cooked food, done quickly and easily, and you can get lots of flavour into it as well, which is lovely. So I'm going to just sprinkle that with a little bit of salt and pepper. So this recipe is called Simple Steamed Salmon. So it is exactly what it says on the tin, just really, really simple. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of garlic. So 2 cloves of garlic cut into halves. And I'm not even going to bother taking the skin off those, because it's just the flavour is going to just infuse. So I don't need to worry about peeling it. I'm just going to cut it in half like that. And we're going to get some lovely flavour going into there. And then some sprigs of fresh herbs. So I've got a little bit of fresh rosemary from my garden. So I'm going to put that in there. It says fresh thyme. I don't have any. You could put whatever herbs you want in there. And basically you can put whatever flavors you want. So you could make this an Asian style dressing if you wanted as well, with a little bit of soy and ginger, a little bit of spring onion, yeah, a little bit of rice wine vinegar if you wanted. So you can put whatever flavors you want to infuse into this fish. And then we're going to make this into a little package. So I'm just going to wrap this up like this to make a seam. And then I'm going to bend it over like that. And then I've got a nice little package that I can then put into my Verona dish, like so. There we go. And tightly wrap your salmon in baking paper and place into Verona dish. Put the litre of water in there, which I've already done. Obviously, my rice is in there as well. And then secure the lid on top. And that's it. So it's going to set up for 20 minutes. Verona temperature, it says speed 2. I think the rice recipe is actually speed 4. So I'm gonna put it up to that. I'll just put it on 2 just while I'm speaking, just so that you can hear me. But that's it basically. And then you can add in whatever vegetables you want to. So you could put some courgette batons or broccoli or carrots. And my big tip on that is just to have a little look at your Simple Ideas book. at the back of there in the resources section, you're going to see how long it takes to chop things and grind things and how long it takes to steam things. So they've got a section on meat and fish, fruit, vegetables. So if you want to do some broccoli, for example, look that up and you can put in your broccoli at the right time. Now, this is obviously starting from cold, so we're not going to get some steam coming through here until about, maybe 7 or 8 minutes. But yeah, have a look at your resources and see when you need to add in your vegetables. I like my veggies really quite crunchy, so I don't give them a huge amount of time in there. And basically when I'm ready to put them in, I just lift up the tray and I just put my vegetables into there. So some other ideas on what you could put with that salmon, or that could be chicken as well, or it could be, I think you could probably do some tofu as well, which would be nice. But some other things that you could do are a little bit of tandoori paste with some yogurt would be beautiful and make a kind of tikka style. You could do some pesto, and obviously you can make those things in your Thermomix, which is lovely, but don't feel that you have to. If you're busy and you just don't have time to be making everything from scratch, you don't have to. You do as much as you are able to. But again, this is just a really simple dinner that has minimal hands-on time. And when it comes out, I'm going to have rice. I'm going to have a protein. I'm going to have some lovely flavor going on. I'm going to have some vegetables. So it's a lovely complete meal. So that's it on that one. I'm going to do some meatballs over tomato sauce in a moment, but I'm just going to swap around some things here. So I'm going to pass across to Laura, and she will talk us through her lovely weeknight dinner idea for you. So over to you, Laura.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura from Love to Mix with Laura, and I am an advisor on Michelle's lovely Thermomix team. I do this every so often. I love a Zoom or an in-person class. This is my thing. So we're talking quick weeknight or weekday meals, and I'm gonna just demonstrate a really nice puttanesca pasta dish that is on Cookie Dough. It's spaghetti alla puttanesca. I almost never do spaghetti with it. I just do penne or fusilli or something easy like that, because I find it makes a huge amount, and then there's always leftovers for lunch or even another dinner. So I'm just going to get on with it, because there's a few minutes later on where things are sauteing and I can have a little chat with you. So the thing I like about this is everything that's in it almost is pretty much like a store cupboard staple. So it starts with 2 cloves of garlic, which are already in there, peeled, and I'm going to put them on. Sorry, I've skipped through my recipe. Actually, that's a bit of a lie. The first step is to put some Parmesan in there and grate it. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going away on Friday and I'm desperately trying to get everything out of my fridge. So I'm going to just put some grated cheddar on top of mine at the end when we are ready to eat. So the normal way would be 80 grams of Parmesan cut up. I know those of you who've got a Thermomix and have cut grated Parmesan in there, it's very, very loud. So then that would be tipped out and then in with our garlic. So garlic in and lid on. So it's into have any lids. That's just going to chop those 2 cloves of garlic for 3 seconds very quickly. Okay, very quick, very simple. And again, garlic, something pretty much everyone has. And if you've got lazy garlic or garlic already in the fridge, you don't even need to do this step. So there we go, nice and blitzed up. I'll scrape it all down. Okay. And then next is going to be 1 whole chili. So I'm going to put the whole thing in, seeds and all. I like it a bit spicy. I'm going to go for it. In that goes. And again, this is just going to get blitzed up. 3 quick seconds. There we go. So there we are. So far, it's very spicy. 6 seconds. It's taken me probably less than a minute to get all that ready. So very quick indeed. Right. Right. Extra virgin olive oil, or any olive oil. 40 grams in, and then it's going to be simmering basket on top whilst it's sauté. So I'm going to get that going. I'm going to have a quick chat with you about a few things with my simmering basket. But I did get it. There we go. So I'll talk you through the rest of the ingredients that are in this. So we've got garlic, chili. My chilies live in my freezer. I always buy them when they're on reduced or yellow sticker and just chuck them whole into the freezer. Your Thermomix can blitz them up from frozen as well. And actually, I would say it probably does it better when they're frozen. So if you don't mind having all the seeds in, then that's great. Capers. I've always got capers in my fridge.
Laura, since you gave that tip, I do that now as well. I keep my chilies in the freezer, so thank you for that. And
yeah,
actually, they chop really well by hand from frozen as well, so you can de-seed them But yeah, it's a brilliant tip. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you can even grate them with a little hand grater, which, especially for a garnish or anything, or to go in a salad dressing, is a much nicer way. Because if you can't hand chop really fine, that's really great. Where was I? Capers. Great. Anchovies. I just have these little jars of anchovies because they keep really nicely in the fridge afterwards. You can use tinned anchovies. It only takes about 3 anchovy fillets in this, so you wouldn't use the whole tin. And then I've got tomato puree, tomatoes, and it says Kalamata olives, but I'm just going Waitrose Essential pitted black olives. Excuse me. So, and then salt, pepper, and oregano. I've got basil left over, so I'm going to use that for my garnish. And yeah, so mostly it's store cupboard staples. And I did actually, about a year ago, I put all of the items into my shopping basket and worked out a price per portion, and it worked out far less than £1 per portion for this particular meal. We did a big drive on affordable meals with your Thermomix and how you can get your Thermomix to pay you back within the year that you've bought it and things like that. And this was one of the ones that I thought, it's cheap as chips, really. Most of the things you can have in, they're relatively inexpensive and they keep very well. So if you do buy the anchovies and the capers, they keep in your fridge forever. They're not gonna go off. Well, they will eventually, but you'll have used them up already. So it's starting to smell really lovely in here, actually. I wish you could smell it. We have garlic and chilies in there. They're going to be 30 seconds from done. In my second Thermomix behind, I have just made some pizza dough, which I am going to show you afterwards about rolling out pizza balls and then freezing them. But I'm actually just letting it sit for probably about 20 minutes. It just was kneading just as we started at 7 o'clock. So it's going to have had 20-30 minutes to sit. And then I'm going to show you how to roll them, and you can freeze them and use them not just for pizza balls, but for also little garlic dough balls and little bread backs and things like that, which very, very quick and easy when you are in a rush. Okay, that is the being a bit finishing. And we are on to tomato puree next. I'm going to pop that on there. 2 tablespoons. I'm going to measure, I was watching someone on Instagram. I'm going to measure with my heart, not with a spoon. That looks about right to me. Okay, that's gone in. And next is our tablespoon of pickled capers. So I quite like a really large tablespoon. And again, just as Michelle said with the salmon, everything's up to you. Don't put the chili in, put extra garlic in, you know, put 2 tablespoons of capers, barely put any. Do put some though, because they act as the seasoning for this dish. So it is quite important. So I'm going to put probably 1.5 tablespoons in there. Here we go. And then 5 tinned anchovy fillets, and this is where I have to fish them out. We made this at the boat show, I think not this year, but the year before, and the smell sort of wafted all over the place. Do you remember, Michelle? Oh, Nice, were you there as well? I think you were.
It was so good. It was such a popular dish, actually, and we had all the stall holders from nearby. We're all coming going, we're hungry. Please feed us.
It was just that smell of garlic and chili, wasn't it? Just wafting.
It's so good.
Right. Oh, they're slippery little suckers, these. Right, getting my fingers in. Here we go.
I think again, it's a reasonably simple dish, isn't it? But it's just
Yeah.
there's so much flavor, and it's just so easy. I love it.
And good ingredients as well. You know, there's nothing particularly unhealthy in here. Quick, cheap. What more do you want, really? Oh, I've got anchovy fingers now. It's delicious. Okay, right. Anchovies in. I think I chucked an extra one in there. And then a sprinkle of dried oregano. Smells amazing. Again, I'm being quite generous. That was 2 very large pinches. I'm more of a recipe just for guidance person than, you know, following it to the letter. And then 100 grams of olives. So I like olives. The other person who's eating this not as keen. So I'm just going to put a handful in, and I'm just going to leave them whole. I know some people like them cut up small in a puttanesca, but I'm going to just squish them with my fingers as I put them in. And there we go. Done. Okay. Then tin tomatoes, 400 grams, so 1 whole tin. In we go. And then 850 grams of water, which should be about 2 tins full. So 1, 2, a little bit more. So it's just on 800. And now simmering basket back on. And this is going to cook for about 10 minutes. Michelle, are you ready to, are you ready for your next extravaganza?
I'm ready for my next extravaganza.
Excellent. Over to you.
Thanks, Laura. Beautiful. Later. Okay, excellent. Am I looking at this one? I've got my laptop and my phone in action, so I feel like I'm in the studio. It's very exciting. Okay, so for my next trick, I'm going to do a tomato sauce, just a very simple tomato sauce with some meatballs. And I thought I'd show you this because this makes quite a lot of sauce actually, and you can do lots of things with it. So you can cook some meatballs over it. Really nice thing if one of you is, you know, if there's a meat eater in the house, but there's also a vegetarian, because you can separate it, which is really nice. And basically what's going to happen is my tomato sauce is going to cook in the bowl here, and my meatballs are going to cook on top. Now, this recipe is called, and we will share all of these recipes afterwards, by the way, so don't worry about remembering them. And Eunice, if she's got a minute, might see if she can find them and put them in the chat, but otherwise we'll be sending out everything afterwards. So this one is called meatballs with tomato sauce. The beginning of this recipe is about making your meatballs and using bread and eggs and all sorts of stuff. But a little tip that I learned from Jamie Oliver was actually just to get your mince and just put it into bowls. So again, if you're, you know, busy and you don't have time to be making your own homemade meatballs, just use the mince and just put them into little bowls. So we'll do that in a second. We'll get the sauce started first. So I'm going to skip ahead, and just a little tip for anybody that's new to Thermomix. When you've got your recipe on the screen, can you see? I think you can probably see that. If you don't want to do a particular part of the recipe, you can skip ahead to the bit that you do want to do. So the whole first part of that recipe is about making meatballs, and I am just going to skip on through to step 5. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make my sauce. So I'm going to put my garlic in there. It says 1 clove. I'm putting 2 because I love garlic. And it says to put 50 to 80 grams of onion. Again, just do as much as you want to. 60 grams, that's fine. I'll leave that other onion for the next dish that I'm doing. After this is just the tomatoes and some olive oil. If you want to sneak some veggies in, now is the time. So if you want to sneak in some carrot, some courgette, some mushrooms, do it now, and you can chop them up at this stage. Do your sauteing, and then you can blend it up with the sauce afterwards. I'm just going to leave it at this though. So I've got my garlic and onions. I've got a little bit of olive oil going in there. You'll notice that some of the recipes have quite a lot of oil. You don't have to do that much if that doesn't suit you. So put in as much as you want to. I'm using really nice quality extra virgin olive oil. That will add nice flavour to my sauce. So I'm happy to use the full amount, but yeah, just some people are a little bit, they don't want to use that much oil. So you can even put a bit of water in there. Really, it's about stopping things sticking to the bottom. So yeah, just wanted to pass on that little tip. So I've got my onions in there, I've got my garlic, I've got my olive oil, and I'll just get my insert the measuring cup into the lid, give it a wee chop on speed 5 seconds. There we go. And it's just asking me to put the simmering basket instead of the measuring cup in place, and that just lets a little bit of steam escape, and just protects the kitchen as well. So we've got the simmering basket in place, and that's just going to simmer for 3 minutes. So I've got my mince here. I'm just going to literally chop it up just to make kind of even size meatballs. And just roughly. And you can make these as big or as small as you want to. Now you can season these at the moment as well. So you could put salt and pepper. I've got meat in my hand, so I won't do that now, but you can just put salt and pepper in at this stage. I'll probably just put a bit of seasoning on top. But yeah, but that's basically it. So that's my meatballs. I'm not going to do all of the other stuff that they said in that recipe because it's a busy night. I don't have time to do it. If you want to do it, you can definitely do it. So, but there's going to be a lot of flavour in the sauce, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second. So I'm not worrying too much about getting extra flavour into these meatballs. I'm using mince with quite a high fat content as well, because there's more flavour that way. Again, you do you. So if you want lower fat, you can certainly do that. Basically, the lower the fat content, the less flavour you're going to have. So the more you want to inject into the into the mixture. They're my little meatballs. Hopefully, if I have this timed just right, my meatballs will be finished by the time my next bit of my sauce is ready to go. So I'm a big fan of using the Veroma for cooking and for kind of maximizing the time that you've got. So I did talk about doing another Veroma class. So I've kind of incorporating a Veroma class with a quick weeknight dinner class, just because yeah, because I think the Veroma is really, really useful. If you can get your head around how to make it work for you, then it's fantastic. Another thing that I do quite regularly is to make a soup in the Thermomix and then use my Veroma sitting on top to do something else. So one thing that I do on a regular basis is I steam up some sort of protein to have during the week in lunch boxes. So a really nice thing to do, and anybody who's come to my class before has probably heard me talking about this, is steaming up a load of chicken in the top. So chicken thighs or chicken breast. Just give me one second. I'm just going to wash off my hands. Okay. Okay, so my onions and garlic has sauteed down, and I'm going that way. And so yeah, as I said, if I'd wanted to sneak some veggies in, I could have done it at that stage. I'll tell you more about that chicken in a second. Let's just get this next bit of the sauce underway. So I've got 800 grams of canned crushed tomatoes. I really like to buy nice quality tinned tomatoes. So I've started buying these slightly more expensive Italian ones recently, and it does make a much tastier sauce. I think if you're making a really, really simple sauce, it does make a big difference actually. So I've got 2 cans of my lovely tomatoes going in there. Just a lovely bright color. And you could use, peeled plum tomatoes as well. They don't have to be crushed, but this is all going to blend up anyway. I've got some salt going in. Use this one. And a little bit of pepper. Right, and that's it in terms of what the recipe is telling me. Now, I'm going to put a little bit more flavour in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my back of my fridge. Sorry, give me a second. So I'm going to put a bit of my homemade stock paste in there. If you haven't made the vegetable stock paste yet, I really, really recommend it. It's just a great flavour enhancer to add to any of your savoury dishes. It's really, really easy to make, and it keeps in your fridge for a long time because it's got a high salt content. So yeah, and if you don't want to put the amount of salt in that it asks you to, you can put it in, or if you just don't want to keep it in your fridge, you can actually freeze it in little ice cubes, which is really handy. And then the other thing that I'm going to add into there is a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Or if you're on my 30 program, you could use some coconut aminos. A little bit of balsamic vinegar is really nice as well, but I'm going to put the kids love it with a dash of Worcestershire sauce. So I'm going to put in that about a tablespoon. And it just really gives it a bit of a punch. It's really nice. And that's it. So that's just a little bit of extra kind of flavour that I'm adding in there. And that's it. So my sauce is going to cook. My Verona is in use at the moment, and actually I'm going to keep this for dinner for tomorrow. But basically they would go exactly the same place that I showed you with the salmon, or they could go into the Verona dish otherwise. You can put them straight into the Verona just like that. Or you can do what I did with the salmon and use your slightly wet baking paper. And again, particularly if you've got somebody that's vegetarian in the house and a meat eater, then you can just keep all of those meat juices and smells away from the rest of the dish. So that's quite nice. So yeah, and it doesn't matter that they're not browned. So that's my chicken and rice ready already. I'm going to plate that up so that I can show you in a second. Yeah, it doesn't matter that they're not browned because they're going to be in that sauce, so they're going to have all of that flavor going on. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful dish. Okay, I think that's it for my meatballs and tomato sauce. Laura, can I come back to you? And then the last dish I'm going to do is pork gyros. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Please correct. Gyros with some fresh tzatziki. Yeah. So I'm coming over to you, Laura, to talk about whatever you're doing next.
Okay, so perfect timing. My sauce has had its 10 minutes, so I'm just going to tip it ever so slightly. It's really liquidy because it's full of water, because the next step, and almost the final step, is to add 500 grams of dried pasta. So I'm just going to go in with my it does say spaghetti broken in half, and I feel like Italians would not be okay with the breaking of the spaghetti. So yeah, I just can't get on board with that. So I'm going penny. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay. I'm just gonna poke it all down into the liquid. It doesn't say to do that, but I think just give a little head start, and then back on with the simmering basket, and 10 minutes. Now I'm going to reduce the time because I do not want soggy pasta. There's nothing worse. So I'm going to reduce it to 7, and then at 7 minutes, I'm going to check to see how much longer I would like to cook it, because you can always cook it more, but you definitely can't reverse the cooking. So 7 minutes, 100 degrees, and it's on reverse speed. You can't see because my camera doesn't go quite close, but I've got the little arrow on. There we go. So whilst that is cooking, that is it now. That is going to be, when it's finished, so long as the pasta is cooked, dinner is ready to eat. We just serve it up into bowls or plates, garnish it with cheese, pepper, more of oil, and herbs, parsley, basil, whatever you like, or none of them if you don't have any, and done. That is it. Then you can put your bowl onto pre-clean, and the couple of utensils that you've used, you can either hand wash or chuck in the dishwasher, bowl goes in the dishwasher, done. Like nothing ever happened, but you've all had dinner. So it's about a 30-minute cook, 2 10-minute slots of long cooking for the sauce and for the pasta. So you've got time to do a quick thing in between each of those. And whilst I was doing those, so I'll let Michelle carry on with what she's doing, because I've got a couple more things to talk about. In my other Thermomix behind, I changed from pizza dough, when it's just finished, to bechamel sauce. So, talking about quick weeknight meals when you just do not know what to do, you could literally just make a bechamel sauce using the thicken mode on your Thermomix. If you look up bechamel on cookie dough, there's lots of different options, and some of them use the thicken mode. This is the one that I've just used now. It's taken 12 minutes. I've used half a litre of milk, flour, butter, salt and pepper. I've skipped on the nutmeg, so I've got no cheese in here at the moment. It's still just a bechamel sauce. At this point, I can choose how I want to flavour this. I can put herbs, spices, cheese, different cheeses, doesn't just have to be cheddar, sweet chilli sauce, a bit of chili oil to lift it, whatever you like. And whilst this is cooking, you could have a pan of pasta on the hob. I am going to add some cheese to this, and I'm going to just pop it back on. The cheese will melt in a few minutes, and I'll just pop it back on in a minute or two. But what I actually have got from last night's dinner, so this is going on from, I'm going away on Friday and I didn't want to cook anything else. We had a roast dinner last night, and I've got leftover carrot and swede mash and cauliflower. So I'm actually going to just cover that in some of this cheese sauce once I've made it into cheese, top it with a little bit of grated cheese, and pop it in the oven, because my son's getting back from Scouts and he did have dinner, but he always wants a second dinner. So that is a perfect and easy using leftovers. I haven't had to go to the shop and buy anything. I've got milk and cheese in my cupboard and fridge. I've got all the flour and butter and everything. Really, really easy. It's a really popular one. And bechamel sauce is a great one for keeping in the freezer. It defrosts really nicely. You just give it a good beat and it's back nice and smooth again. It's really versatile. It's really, really versatile. Like I've just said, so cauliflower cheese, add a few potatoes in there, a little bit of bacon. You've bulked it out. You've added a bit of extra protein in. Just some plain and simple mac and cheese. That's a massive favourite in my house. It's also really good for things like pizza with a white sauce. There's lots of white sauce pizza recipes going on now. So if you've got a little bit left over and you want to freeze it in a pot, you can use it as a pizza bianca base. And something that I've started doing recently, which I shouldn't admit to, but maybe not a jar of tomato sauce, but there's always leftover tomato sauce in the fridge or the freezer. The one that Michelle's making, if there's too much, you freeze a bit. And I've been making sort of cheat lasagna pasta bakes, just cooking off some pasta, layering it up with some tomato sauce, some more pasta, some bechamel sauce, and then baking it in the oven without even any meat. I've been chucking in some extra veggies if there are some, just to use bits up, but also to be quick. Cook the pasta, pop it in the oven, and then it is ready. So I'm just going to really quickly grate a little bit of cheese and stop talking at you, although I could talk about meal prep for a long, long time.
Laura, I love all your tips on meal prep. It's completely invaluable.
When you said about the tikka paste on your salmon, I was like, yes, to the tikka paste. That tikka paste recipe on Cookie Dough makes an enormous amount of tikka paste. And I must make it once every 2 months. Everyone in my house loves it. It makes lovely barbecue as well. Barbecue chicken thighs or something like that, covered in a tikka paste marinade with some yogurt. It's delicious. So I've chucked in quite a lot of cheese there, and I'm just going to pop this back on. Just let the cheese melt. And I'm probably going to add a tiny bit more milk as well, because it was extremely thick. Again, the same as with not cooking the pasta too much. I always add in a little bit less liquid for things like sauces, because you can add a bit extra, but you definitely can't take any out if it's too runny. So that's my sort of, if you're ever making a recipe on Thermomix and it's your first time and you think, I'm not sure, just reduce the liquid ever so slightly. You can always have a little look through the measuring cup and then down into the hole and stop it and have a think and see. And if it needs a bit extra, pop it in. Right, that's going. Michelle, I can carry on because I've still got pizza balls to talk about.
Shall I just show what I've done with the yeah, come back to me for a minute and I'll just show you a couple of things. So yeah, so I just wanted to show you very quickly. Actually, Eunice, can you spotlight the other camera? Just can you spotlight the lower one just so that I can show on there? Yeah, is that working there? Maybe, yeah, there. So, but yeah, I just wanted to show you, and maybe just even up close, because we had a little bit of talk in my client group this evening about basmati rice and it not cooking properly. And there's a rice mode on the Thermomix. I don't really get on with it. I don't know. Maybe I just need to give it another go. But basically, the steamed rice recipe is perfect every time. I've never had a problem. Just make sure the basket is definitely inside of the bowl when it's cooking, and make sure that your measuring cup is in, just so that it's keeping all of the steam inside, or you've got your Varoma on top cooking as we did. But yeah, but this is just a lovely little dish. So I didn't do veggies tonight because I'll do them fresh tomorrow when I'm having lunch. But yeah, but basically I've got my really nicely cooked salmon, and the garlic is in there really nice and soft. You could use that with some butter if you wanted to, you know, either just add some garlic butter or put on some fresh bread. But yeah, but that's just a really, really lovely, simple, kind of easy dinner. So the next thing I just wanted to show you, and I'll get it started and then we'll go back to Laura again, is some this lovely Greek dish, which if anybody's ever been on holidays in Greece, it's everywhere. You know, it's what you get as your poolside snack, or, you know, kind of from a little kiosk, and it's the pork gyros. I still can't pronounce it correctly, but it's and it's really simple. I think the key is in the spice flavoring that goes into it. But let's get going and I'll just show you how we're going to make this. So what do? We'll just go into the recipe detail. And this one is traditionally served in a pita bread. Again, you can make some really lovely flatbreads quite easily, but you don't have to. You can just buy them if you want to, or you can serve this, which is what I'll do for my dinner tomorrow. Is I'll have this with I'll have it with some steamed vegetables. I'm still on 30, no bread for me. So yeah. So, but basically, we're going to get started with this. So I'm doing a small portion of this. This is just a 2-person portion, but there is a bigger portion on cookie dough as well. So I'm just going to put in some olive oil. Pour in very, very slowly. Okay. And then I'm going to put in some onion. Now it's asking me to do this in slices, which I'll just do now. My knife skills leave a lot to be desired. I think years of cooking with Thermomix means that I very lazy with my chopping. But yeah, so I've got 60 grams of onion going in there in slices. So these are going to end up kind of caramelized with the pork, which is why we have them in nice strips. That. And then place simmering basket on the mixing bowl lid. And that's just going to saute for 2 minutes at 120 degrees. Did it say to put the lid on? Anyway. So yeah, so that's going in reverse, so it's not chopping up my onions any more than needs to be. And I'm just looking at the preview button. I think somebody in my group was asking about that the other day. The preview button is up in the top right-hand corner, and it's really handy just for figuring out what's coming next. so that you don't have to have a device open in front of you as well. Oh, Eunice is sharing the recipes there. Thank you, Eunice. That's really kind of you. So the next part of this recipe is just to measure out my pork, which I've already done. So I've got 200 grams of pork fillet cut into strips. And it says mixed with gyros spices. So I did that beforehand. So in there is quite a lot of stuff actually. So there's thyme, or oregano, paprika, some salt, some onion powder, some garlic powder, cumin, coriander, and I'm just going to give that just a little mix up. And then I'm going to put some, that smells so good. So I'm just going to sprinkle that, about a tablespoon of that, a little bit more maybe, over my pork. And that's going to just give me some really lovely flavour. So when these onions have sauteed and softened, I'm going to be adding this in, and then it's going to go on high heat. So if you're quite new to Thermomix or new to TM6, the TM6 goes up to 160 degrees, which means that you can caramelize, so you can fry chicken and beef and vegetables, you can caramelize them, you can do sugar stages as well, but you must do those things in conjunction with the recipe. So you can only go up to 120 manually, but you can go up to 160 if you're following a recipe. There is a recipe on there just for browned chicken and browned beef. So if you just want to do that part, you can do that. It's a maximum of 300 grams, just because you've got quite a small surface area. So yeah, maximum 300 grams at a time. So when I'm doing the bigger version of this to feed the 4 of us, I just do it in 2 batches, basically. So I've got my my pork strips going in there with my spices. Ensure pork is evenly distributed around the mixing bowl. So that's really important. Don't just dump it into your bowl. I'll put it in here, and then I'll try and show you. So I'm gonna place it around the blades, just so that, because you want to have maximum contact with the bottom of the bowl. And just to say as well, I did add my meatballs into the Verona with my tomato sauce. I just thought I may as well do it. So I'll be able to show you that as well in a moment. Okay, so maybe, yeah, Eunice, can you just show the other camera actually? Oh no, it's actually showing in that one, that's fine. So yeah, so I've placed it kind of around the blades like that. And then I pop on my lid, and instead of the measuring cup, I'm putting my splash guard, which looks like that. And that's done, and it's onto high heat, which looks like one of the shortcut modes. It's got like some kind of looks like steam, and it's just one. Any of the shortcut modes are always just a one twist, and that gets it working. So yeah, so that's it. So while that's happening, I'm just going to prepare my cucumber for my tzatziki. So I'm just going to clean myself up here, get rid of all my meat knives and stuff, and then I'm going to get my tzatziki ready. So Laura, I'll come back to you, and yeah, I'll just tidy myself up here. Is that okay? Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. I'm just going to grab a piece of cling film, and then I'm ready. Sorry. Okay, so I have got some pizza dough here. It's huge. It's massive. It's like flowing out of the bowl. So what I'm just going to quickly show you is how I ball them up, roll them in balls. Not sure what the technical phrase is there. And then freeze them to use to make pizza. So I am ready. A little bit of flour. Okay, so you need about 150 grams for a pizza ball. That seems to be the optimum, well, what I have found to be the optimum sort of amount. So see how close I get with this. 160. That is close enough. So you would need a tiny bit of flour on your countertop, but not too much. Too much flour actually makes it very slippy. So I am going to put my pizza dough onto my slightly floured surface. So ever so slightly sticky, so I'm just going to let it pick up a little bit of that flour. And then what I am going to do, before my fingers get too dirty, is turn on my other camera. Oh, what have I done? Oh, I've made my screen so tiny and now I can't change it. Sorry, guys. I had a second camera and it was going to be on my hand to show you, but I've lost my screen on my laptop. You can see me on my phone, but not on my laptop. Right, hang on. Okay, never mind. Okay, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to tip this down ever so slightly so you can see my surface. So on my work surface, just there, can you see I've got my pizza dough. You have to work fairly quickly. If you've got rings on your fingers, I suggest taking them off. And to make them into balls, so pizza balls or bread baps or anything like that, or whatever you call them, you sort of roll it around and I'm pushing down at the same time. And as I'm doing that, it turns into a slightly sticky ball. It's a bit too sticky. If it's got too much flour, it will slide around, but as you keep moving it around, it turns into a perfectly formed little dough ball, just like that. And then to freeze these, I use a large baking sheet that I'm happy to put in the freezer, which I oil the bottom of, or you can stick it on greaseproof paper. Either way works absolutely perfectly. So I'm just going to spread that oil around. And then I pop my dough ball onto my sheet and I pop those into the freezer immediately. So I haven't really proven these dough balls at all. You can do them straight away. You don't have to even give them any time to rest. Sometimes it's a bit, if you're going to use them straight away, that's nice. But what I do is when I'm ready to use these to make pizza, just get them out of the freezer, cover them in a little bit of oil and some cling film. It stops the surface going crusty. So you do have to make sure that you've covered them so no air is touching them. And then they take anything from 2 to 4 hours to defrost. It depends how warm it is and how warm your kitchen is. And they will defrost and they will improve as they defrost and you will see them grow. And when they're on their way up is the perfect time to use them as a pizza. But they are also, if you wanted to make smaller ones, you can use them as tiny little garlic dough balls, brush them with a little bit of garlic butter halfway through cooking, get a small dish and stuff them full, and you can dip them into your sauce or anything like that. So that is my sort of top tip for pizza. And pizza can be a really quick weeknight meal as well. If you've already got pizza balls in the freezer, just get them out as soon as you get home, give them an hour or two to defrost and prove, and chances are you have got stuff in your freezer that you can use as pizza toppings. You only need a very, very small amount of tomato sauce, or like I said before, you could use the bechamel to make a pizza bianca, and then use up anything you've got in your fridge. Slices of courgette are lovely, chilies, random bits of meat, anything like that. All those little scrag ends of cheeses that you've got hanging around in the fridge that you think, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Pop them on a pizza or use them to make cheese board spaghetti. And I'm going to share that recipe with you because that's one of my favourite pasta sauces recipe on Thermomix. And that is it from me for pizza balls. My carrot and swede mash and cauliflower cheese thing is in the oven with the sauce on top. My pasta it's finished cooking. It had 7 minutes. The pasta was just 2 al dente, so I gave it an extra 3. And I'm just letting it sit in there. It will continue to just cook the pasta ever so slightly until I'm ready to plate up. Michelle, how are you doing?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Right, okay, so okay, so yeah, so my pork has, here we go, later. Okay, my pork has browned. I'm not sure if you can see that very well with my onions. It's looking really, really lovely. Now it does say just to put it to one side and do your tzatziki in here, but just because we're coming up to time, I'm just going to use another bowl because I've got another bowl. So I'm going to put my garlic in here. I had a second ago and that's disappeared. And that's my sauce and meatballs finished as well, which we'll have a look at in a moment. So yeah, so I'm just doing that little quick tzatziki to go with the pork. And I've actually got some little kind of wrap flatbreads, which I'll might actually give these to the kids for lunch tomorrow because they really like these. Put them in their lunchbox. Okay, so I've just got a garlic clove going in there. Give that a quick chop. Oh, skipped too far. So up to speed. Saying to somebody the other day that garlic oh no, you can't hear me. Sorry, I thought it was on mute. That you can do 1 clove of garlic and it's going to mince it. I mean, I don't know if you can see that. It's just blows my mind that you can do that. It's incredible. So again, if you're doing small portions, you know, I often get people that say, oh, I live on my own, or you know, I just wouldn't use it. You know, you can make a really small portion if you want to, and you're going to get that really nice, yeah, you're going to get some really nice home cooked food really quickly. So I've just peeled and de-seeded some cucumber pieces, and I've just chopped them into little bits. And we're just going to chop that a little bit further. And then we're going to add in, so it says 250 grams of pork, curd cheese, or you can use some sour cream. You could also use yogurt for this. That's going to work really nicely as well. So I've got a little bit of sour cream here, so I'm going to use that. So I've got 250 grams. Oh, I need a spoon for that. My kids absolutely love this stuff, so they're going to be very happy with their lunch boxes tomorrow. There we go, nearly all of it. Got a bit of salt thrown in there. And then you can put whatever herbs you want to. So mint would be quite traditional to put into here. I don't actually have any at the moment. But I'm just going to put a little bit of oregano in there. Half a teaspoon of dried mixed herbs. Yeah, mint is lovely actually, or dried mint, dried coriander, fresh if you've got it. And we'll just give that a little mix around. And that is it. I'm going to serve up my pork gyros with my tzatziki. Yeah, and as I said, this sort of a dish you could easily do with rice or with some, you know, with some Jersey Royals or some potatoes if you wanted to. You could have it with some, I've got more pork, so I'm going to do some more for myself tomorrow. And I'll have it with some spiralized vegetables with my new spiralizer. And if anybody's interested in that spiralizer, we're hoping to have news. Look how gorgeous that is. That's so nice. So we'll just pop all of that on there. There we go. How nice is that? And you could put some avocado and some salad in there if you wanted to as well, or just serve it like that. Yeah, and that's just a really nice, quick, really, really tasty meal, which is beautiful. And I'll just show you my meatballs. So again, I did the same trick with the baking paper and oh, that's what. No. That one there. That one there. So yeah, my meatballs are in there and they've just steamed up beautifully. And there's quite a bit of juices there. You could use those and put some into the sauce if you want to, or you can throw that away if you prefer. But yeah, but that is that. And then the sauce has cooked underneath, which you can see there, maybe. Yeah, there we go. And it's just, yeah, really lovely color. Now you can blend that down further if you want to. It's quite nice, a little bit chunky like that actually. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. But if you did have your hidden vegetables in there, for example, you could blend that right down. And yeah, and then all you need to do is have your pasta or your rice or whatever you want to have with that sauce and the meatballs. And of course, it makes quite a lot of sauce that, so you can make it even more. It's 2.2 liters is your maximum, but you can do a little bit more. And then just jar it up, and then you can use it with those pizza dough balls that Laura was talking about, which is really nice. Right, we are just on the hour and we've covered a lot this evening. I hope you've had some lovely ideas. I just wanted to quickly ask Eunice, are you still there and are you in a position to talk? Is there anything you'd like to add in terms of quick dinners and what's a go-to for you? I was hoping to share my cookie dough screen, but we won't do that this evening because we're just going a little bit over time. But is there anything you'd like to share?
Um, I I don't have any recipes at hand. I'm just looking at my cookie dough. My favorite quick pasta dish, I would say, it's a recipe called tomato and bacon spaghetti, and it's one of the recipes where you just throw the pasta inside of the bowl in the Thermomix and it cooks it all together. And I think it gives it such a good texture, and the sauce, the pasta cooking within the sauce, it makes the sauce really nice and creamy. So that's probably one of my favorite pasta dishes, quick pasta dishes. But yeah, apart from that, I'm good.
Yeah, beautiful. The other thing I just wanted to ask you quickly is you have a tip about your rice and doing it in a tin in the Veroma. Can you just tell us quickly about that?
Yes, so if you were to make a soup in a bowl, and that soup would take say 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, you could put a bundt tin in the Veroma and add rice to that tin, and there's equal amount of water, and cover it with foil, and the rice will cook at the same time as the soup's cooking, and it's really nice rice. Like, it doesn't get overcooked, and you're just using the heat that's coming out of making a soup. And on top of that, you can still do your vegetables or your fish on a Veroma tray if you wanted to. So you can actually cook three things at the same time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Eunice. I really appreciate that. So that is it. Just a couple of quick things before we finish up. One is that our deal ends on Sunday, our October deal. So for anybody that wants to buy a new TM6, you're going to get the cutter and the spiralizer for half price. So really lovely deal. You can also add on a Christmas bundle. They're incredibly good value. One bundle is with some thermal serving bowls, the Christmas book, the Christmas apron. It's £42. One thermal serving bowl alone is usually more than £40, so really good value. And then the other bundle is our steaming bundle, and we've got our steaming casserole, our Veroma casserole, and there's the steaming book and an apron and some steaming papers. So if you're interested in a new Thermomix or TM6, do let us know. That offer ends on Sunday. And then the other thing is that we've been having a recruitment deal recently. So if you're interested to do what we do and become a Thermomix advisor, I'm definitely on the lookout for probably about 2 more people for my team. And I would love, love, love to chat to you. It's the most incredible deal at the moment. You get a TM6 in your kitchen for no deposit for 3 months. So if you don't have a TM6 at the moment, you can pretty much try before you buy. And if you sell 2, which I will help you to do, within your first month, you can keep that loan machine, which is amazing. But you've got 3 months with us. And if you don't manage to do it in the first month, you've got 3 months to do 4. So anyway, if that's of interest, let me know. We've got 1 more week of that deal where there's no deposit. Usually it's £150 deposit. And then the very, very last thing I wanted to say is that if you are in Jersey, we're putting on, I've been working with Highlands College and I'm putting on an absolutely gorgeous evening of fine dining using the Thermomix. So I make this lovely simple food at home for my family, but I'm always really curious to see what they do in a restaurant. So if you are curious to see what they do, how do they use a Thermomix to make proper restaurant food, not just restaurant quality at home, and then come along. It's on Thursday, the 7th of November. Highlands College is £35 for 3 courses, bread and homemade bread, butter, teas and coffees. There'll be a welcome drink as well. It's really good value, and it's supporting the college, which is really lovely. So yeah, let me know if you're interested. I think there's about 18 spots left if anybody's keen on that. Laura, have you any final things to say or anything just before we wrap up?
Just to say thank you very much. I've just been rolling up the rest of the pizza balls, so that's what I've got. I've got 3, so I've got 10 made out of the batch, and they go in the freezer just like that. You don't need to cover them, you just put them straight in and they will freeze, and then you can chip them off the board, pop them in a nice freezer bag and use them as you like. That's it.
Oh, thanks so much, Laura. So we'll stop the recording now, but if anybody wants to stay on and have a chat with us, you're really welcome to. We'll hang on for another few minutes, and yeah, but otherwise, please feel free to get in touch with either me or Laura or your consultant, whoever that is, and they can help you as well. So thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Dave Cooper. Great tips. Thank you so much. Eunice, if you're still there, can you just give me back the control just so that I can stop the recording?
I want to. How do I give you back control?
I'm not sure. Reclaim
That's
host.
it.
Here we go.
There.
Oh, have I closed it? No. Am I in charge again?
I don't know.
Reclaim host. Oh yes, there we go. Beautiful. I can't find where the recording is. Never mind. Okay, we'll just keep it on for another minute, just in case anybody's got any questions.